Okay, so there are many examples that we can go through here with user interactions. Hope that you can yourself navigate through a ton of the examples and utilize them as you need. But I did want to show you guys another tricky scenario that you may come across in the future whenever doing some kind of user interaction automation. And that is the resizable style of interaction. That's where you take your object and you drag it like this. Okay? So if we're going to write a test for this and do these user interactions, let me refresh this page and analyze what happens to the HTML. So if I come over here and select this object, you guys can see that its HTML looks like this. And then if we take our navigation thing and hover over here, we can see that there is a handle that we can take and drag it, right? And we already know that Selenium WebDriver has a click and hold method. And so when we're manually doing this, we're clicking and holding here, and then we start dragging it. And so if we drag it and I let go, and then I hover over this again, you guys can see that now this has a style attribute with a width and a height, because we've made it bigger. So let me show you guys that again. Look, without being dragged and dropped, it does not have a style attribute. But when it gets dragged, then when we look at it, it has a style. Okay, so if we were to do a drag and drop to a certain spot on this canvas, then all we would have to do is check that it has a style property, and that would tell us that it has been resized. If you want to go ahead and check the actual values, you can do that as well. But for our purposes, just to make sure that we actually resized it, checking for style property is enough. And so let's go ahead and take a look at the code. It's going to be very similar to what you guys have seen before. I named it the resizing example up here. And the standard procedure, we navigate to the URL, we find the frame. Now, the one thing that you need to do here is find that resizable handle. And when we look at the HTML of the resizable handle, we can see the properties here, and it does have a class name, which we can utilize here. But as you guys know, Selenium WebDriver is going to complain because of these spaces, so we need to use XPath. And so using an XPath, this is this kind of an expression that you get. Again, this tutorial on identifying elements is in the complete Selenium WebDriver course, so make sure you go and see those tutorials if you're confused about this. We get really in depth about XPath and all this kind of stuff and identification of elements. But anyway, so once we identify the handle, now we're going to use our actions class to click and hold on the handle, right? And then we're going to do the move by offset method. And move by offset just moves the element a certain direction into the X and Y coordinates. So you guys can see here it's an int. So I just moved it 100 pixels by 100 pixels. And then I'm doing a perform. And then finally I'm doing our assertion, making sure, let me take this expression, that if this ID with style exists, and if it exists, then our test has passed and the element has been resized. So let's take a look to see if it runs. I'm going to come here and click run, and you guys can watch the test as it happens as well. So you guys saw that, right? It resized, and then our test passed successfully. And we have successfully resized an element. So that's another cool technique that you guys can use.